welcome to Australia and Germany. I'm Adam Peacock. Great to have your company. We'll get to the team news. We won't go through all the German changes because there's 9 of them from the team that beat Kazakhstan on Saturday, and a few of their young guns, including Andreas Schürrle on the left of midfield and also Mario Götze. A young gun, 18-year-old, will start for the Germans. Thomas Müller will start, so a few of their stars rested. There's one change from the Socceroos team from the Asian Cup final. It is as expected. Brett Holman will play up front or nearabouts with Harry Kewell, with Tim Cahill not playing, and that means Brett Emerton slots back into his preferred right-sided position. Let's now throw to Andy Harper and Simon Hill.
A very warm welcome to Borussia Park in Mönchengladbach, west of the Rhine and close to the Dutch border. So Australia, predominantly in dark blue, get us underway. Retribution, revenge, perhaps in the minds of the Australian team tonight, but surely Andy Harper at least will see some more resistance than we saw in Durban a year ago.
Well, Simon would like to think so. That was a very depressing night for fans of the Socceroos. But they managed to pick themselves up from then. The following 2 World Cup games were much more impressive. And then, of course, since then, with new coach Holger Rosik, the run through the Asian Cup. Excellent. And it's a new mentality with this team up against a super football country in Germany, and this team in particular. They've had to remodel themselves a few times over the last couple of decades. The German national team and the current incarnation, a very impressive collection of footballers. No small measure of nervousness with Holger Rosik before the game, Simon.
Understandably, against the nation of his birth. It's not the first time he's coached against them. Little back heel from Thomas Müller, not quite coming off. And a poor clearance by Miller Jedinak. That's a game that Osik took charge of against his own nation, was for Canada back in 2003. They lost that game, the Canadians, 4-1 in Wolfsburg. So he'll hope for something rather better tonight. He has said, Andy, that Australia will try not to be negative. They'll try and attack when they get the chance. Within the team structure, of course, no doubt.
Well, of course, they're not looking to open themselves up by any stretch of the imagination. But you know, this is a team that, under Holger Rosik, does look to try and influence the game in their own way and not just try and neutralise opponents. This is a new test altogether, however. And it's going to be fascinating to see how the players and the structure go against that test.
Free kick for the Germans. Of course, there's no Mesut Ozil in the starting 11 tonight to take some of these set pieces. He and Sami Khedira and Philipp Lahm, the normal captain, have all been released from national team duty after that victory over Kazakhstan. Jerome Boateng is out injured as well. The replacements are plenty good enough. Half a shout for handball there by 1 or 2 of the Germans against Lucas Neal.
First rate down the left from Marcel Schmelzer. Believe it or not, Simon, even countries with the pedigree and the culture, and indeed the population as Germany has, struggle for left-sided players. It seems to be endemic right around the football world. Schmelzer with his chance tonight.
Yeah, Denis Iogo played against Kazakhstan. It is a problem position. Here's David Carney, the Australian left full-back, and his first touch just took it away from him. Pity.
Well, more than a pity. Hugely disappointing. It was a beautiful opening fashioned. Good interplay. A nice movement off the ball from Carney to pay credit where it's due, but his normally trusty left foot very heavy on the touch. And it brought keeper Weiser in for his first touch. Werder Bremen goalkeeper.
Maybe that's an area, Andy, that Australia will look to exploit, because Christian Trash, who's left the ball there for his goalkeeper, Tim Wiese, is not a natural right fullback. Normally plays in defensive midfield for his club side. But he's been pressed into service there, the Stuttgart man, because of Philipp Lahm's absence.
Yeah, Philipp Lahm decided to accept the opportunity to leave camp. Of course, Mesut Ozil, Sami Khedira absent as well, and Bastian Schweinsteiger was offered that opportunity by the coaching staff, but I guess in what might be deemed an ominous sign for Australia, he was determined to stay and play for the national team. He got a few raspberries in Kaiserslautern on the weekend, and that performance against Kazakhstan. Most people would be happy with a 4-0 win, but the German fans weren't at all satisfied.
Yeah, Schweinsteiger caught the brunt end of it, particularly when he was substituted. Here's Thomas Muller on the score sheet twice against the Kazakhs, and he heads into the box towards the near post, and nobody tracked the run for Australia. Cross by Podolski.
Sorry, Simon. Thomas Muller is normally, when this current German team is with its first 11 players on the right flank, he's moved into the centre. Couldn't get on the end of that pass from Lucas Podolski. Thomas Muller has moved into the central attacking position of the three midfielders. Schürrle out on the right, of course Podolski on the left, with Mario Gomez in possession now up front.
This is Brett Emerton of Blackburn Rovers, who joins Paul Wade on 84 caps tonight, thus becoming the third, or joint third, most capped Socceroo of all time. There is Holger Osik. It's the Germans' 12th game in charge of Australia. Previous 11 have produced 6 wins, 3 draws, and just 2 defeats. Given away by the Socceroos. Schürrle quick to pounce, Schwarzer quick to gather. And with German heritage, of course, his 89th cap for his country tonight. And a short spell in Germany with Dynamo Dresden and Kaiserslautern. This is a strong run by Schürrle. He's cut off at the pass by Sasha Ognanovski. Good tackle.
Very good coverage from Ognanovski. Australia sloppy in midfield. Matt Mackay turning the ball over.
Schürrle, just his second cap tonight. Schürrle, 12 goals this season in the Bundesliga for Mainz. Not one of the more glamorous clubs in this part of the world, but he's earned his spot, his opportunity. Joachim Löw, Andy, has been very vocal in saying that this is a big opportunity for some of his fringe players, not least the goalkeeper who's on the ball here, Tim Wiese.
Well, they've got an endless supply of players, there's no question about that, apart apparently from the left side. Looking forward to seeing how Marcel Schmelzer goes there. He's had a couple of good early touches, and of course on the bench a couple of their real ones for the future. Mario Götze in particular out of Borussia Dortmund, been tagged by the German technical department at the Federation as being one of the best they've ever had, and that is quite a wrap.
Too deep from Schweinsteiger. Call was clear from Lucas Neal to Luke Wilkshire. Let it go. There is Joachim Löw, just signed a new contract to take him through to the 2014 World Cup. One of his assistants, Hansi Flick, on his left, and just behind them, Andreas Kopke, the German goalkeeping coach. You might remember him from Euro 96, the last trophy Germany won. 15 years without a trophy, Andy. That's their longest since the 1970s. Incredible record they've had, the Germans. This is Brett Holman. More advanced role for the AZ Alkmaar player tonight.
Yeah, a record like that for a country of the pedigree of Germany would be enough to send the entire nation into deep introspection. But of course, there mightn't be trophies to show for it, but there's been a seemingly endless sequence of runs to World Cup semi-finals and finals. Always plenty about which to be excited. Incredible consistency.
Yep, they're always in the mix. Spain, of course, beat them in the last 2 major tournaments. Schürrle was felled there by Lucas Neal. It was late rather than malicious, but he certainly caught Schürrle.
Yeah, you just got the feeling a couple of players, in particular Sasha Ognanovski, just lost their feet a little bit slippery there. Lucas Neal then having to charge in and try and fix for the slight error from Ognanovski. And you're right, Simon, it was late rather than particularly calculated. He's lively though, Schürrle. Expect someone to be on top of his game. He's sitting 4th in the goal scoring list in the Bundesliga. As you said, for one of the least fancied clubs in that competition, but he's got plenty of toe about him.
And he's earned this free kick for Die Mannschaft. Mark Schwarzer on red alert. Lucas Podolski to deliver. Scored the first goal against the Australians in that World Cup match in Durban last year. Could he create the first goal here? Was Podolski back defending from his own free kick, and he feeds Thomas Muller. Into touch off the head of David Carney.
Well, Australia are inviting Germany onto them with rushed passes. Easy to say when one's just watching and not having to deal with the national team of Germany, but it's going to serve Australia's purposes for them to settle as quickly as possible. They'll find themselves chasing the game if they don't manage to settle in possession a little better than they've started here in the opening 10 minutes.
Tackle from behind by Miller Jedinak. And Andre Schürrle will deliver this latest free kick for the Germans. Variation on the theme. Wasn't a bad idea. Just the execution wrong from Sven Bender on debut. Tall, rangy defensive midfielder who's earned rave reviews playing for Borussia Dortmund. So much so that they barely missed the player he was brought in to replace, their captain Sebastian Kehl. And on Borussia Dortmund, Andy, news today that that club will meet with Mustafa Amini and his representatives tomorrow, potentially to discuss a contract.
Well, they won't be catching up for a cup of tea only. Mustafa Amini with his representatives is in the stadium tonight. Was greeted by the Dortmund president at the front, as we saw, and he's had a very good couple of weeks, so we're told. Excited, a lot of interest.
Not just from Dortmund either. Handshake between Harry Kuehl and Mats Hummels. The pattern of this game has been established very early. Germany, as you would expect, on the offensive, and that's a beautifully curled ball from Schweinsteiger. Schürrle attacking Ognenovski. Corner for the Germans.
Well defended as well, Ognenovski. With that pass out of midfield from Bastian Schweinsteiger, what an incredible player he is becoming, if he wasn't already. Had the wherewithal to know that Carney had pushed up, the changeover in possession meant left fullback was free. And without needing a second glance, Schweinsteiger released Schürrle, and Germany were on their way.
Podolski with the corner. That's Hummels heading the ball away from goal rather than towards it. Australia bring it clear through Neil. Switch of play for Mackay. David Carney a little on his heels. He was once offered a trial by Borussia Mönchengladbach, David Carney. Back in 2006. And Brett Holman was onside there. Harry Kuehl might not have been, but Holman certainly was.
Yes, by our reckoning, Simon, David Carney came close to being the third Australian to call Mönchengladbach home after Craig Moore under Dick Advocaat, and before him Damien Murray had a short spell here. Wouldn't be half a bad place to base yourself as a footballer. This is a magnificent stadium.
And of course it is where Matthew Leckie will be based. Probably is already.
Well, we were in the fan shop here the other day talking to a couple of the local workers. They're very excited to see what Leckie's going to offer them.
Miscommunication between Mackay and Holman. Another free kick conceded by Australia. Almost into double figures in that regard. Well, clear as day. Push by Ognenovski. Now Gomez, a man who might need a little bit of attention. Big night for Gomez as well. He's replacing Miroslav Klose at the pointy end of the German attack. It's the other way round at club level, both Bayern Munich players, of course. So Schweinsteiger on free kick duty again for Germany. What will this produce? Another clean, safe take by Schwarzer. Lucas Neal is quickly out of the blocks and he'll continue the run. This is Kuhl. Looked for the switch, but it was charged down by Bender. And now Schweinsteiger. Just the occasional hint of an Australian break, Andy.
Well, the field's opened up once or twice for them quite nicely. Again, just the decision-making more than anything. On that occasion, Harry Kuhl went for the narrow angle of the passes that were open to him. And Germany managed to cut the possession out, which they do so effectively.
This is Schmelzer, just his second cap tonight. Easily cut out by Neal. Carl Valeri. Good possession play by Australia, drawing huge cheers from the travelling supporters, and they've worked that well. Emerton. Man over wide left is Carney. Holman coming short. Carney. 2 against 1 there. Now Carney's out of position. Jedinak has caught the man late, but the referee has opted to give Germany the advantage. Schweinsteiger got in ahead of Wiltshire. Christian Trash remains on the turf. And I think Joachim Low is just pointing out to the 4th official, Andy, that that's not the first time one of his players has been brought to the seat of his pants. Maybe not for the first time by Jedinak too.
Well, Jedinak's certainly going to be spoken to now. It was a desperate lunge from Jedinak. He's receiving a yellow card for it.
Well, friendly it may be, but you can't get away with too many of those sort of challenges. Miller Jedinak hasn't.
You just see this when the field opens up, the speed of the German players. Australia just that half a yard positionally behind the play. And it's those desperate lunges, which is about as much as the Aussies can do. And it's not good enough other than to give away free kicks in those particular phases of play. There have been a couple of good moments in possession otherwise, and they have started to settle, the visitors.
Valeri looking for Kuhl, but Hummel's shepherding the ball back towards his goalkeeper. Tackle from behind this time by the Germans on Brett Emerton. Schmelzer the offender. Free kick for Brett Holman, and he struck it cleanly, didn't he?
Well, it was well done, Lucas Neal. It's a beautiful pass from the free kick. Brett Holman had peeled off magnificently at a delightful angle to the run. Neal sees it quickly. It was terrific communication between the two. And a very exciting option taken from Brett Holman. No complaints with that at all. The crowd certainly appreciated the effort.
Holman again trying to scamper after that one, but Trash will get it back to Visa. That's a poor clearance, and Kuhl, well, perhaps just delayed too long, or perhaps the ball just didn't sit quickly enough for Harry Kuhl, but an error by the goalkeeper, who's none too experienced at national level, just his 4th cap, even though he's 29 years of age. some encouragement for Australia.
Yeah, look, the first 10 minutes they looked a little slow, perhaps nervous. Understandable, but certainly the last 10 minutes has been much better. And the key has been their willingness to attempt to keep possession, to try, when in possession, to move their German opponents around. And that's helped them ease into the equation. It's certainly a more level contest at the moment.
Podolski brought to ground by a combination of Valeri and Brent Emerton. Another free kick. Almost the meat of the sandwich there, Lucas Podolski. Caused Australia such damage, didn't he, in Durban last year? And he wasn't on his own. We've passed the 20-minute mark. Germany 0, Australia 0. Schweinsteiger to try and put more pressure on the Australian goal again, but really hasn't got or found his range in these early stages. Sebastian Schweinsteiger. By his own admission, and certainly his coach's, Andy, the Bayern Munich midfielder is going through a bit of a rough trot in form at the moment. Maybe that's why he wanted to stay and play.
Well, his standards are so high, his performance, his output has been so impressive. He's just 26 years of age. He's already chalked up 242 Bundesliga games. Doesn't include Champions League games. And of course, with the national team at just 26, he's already on 85 caps. It's going to end up being quite some career. It's already been very promising. And it's that sort of determination which has made him stay here and play in this game. It's been a key cornerstone in that. Let's see if Luke Wiltshire can deliver a telling free kick where the aforementioned Schweinsteiger hasn't.
Visa, strong shouts, an even better punch, and Australia committed numbers forward. Didn't quite drop quickly enough for Muller. Schweinsteiger. Podolski looking for the 1-2 with Muller. Schmelzer. And Bender, whose nickname at Bundesliga level, by the way, is the Vacuum, for his ability to gather up the opposition attacks. Not a bad moniker to have if you're a defensive midfielder. It's broken here for Gomez. Play on, says the referee. Schweinsteiger. Lucas Neal with an important clearance, but the referee's going to bring them back for the free kick. Tried to allow the advantage. Australia unhappy. What's your view on it, Andy?
Well, in general, it's just that across the ground, Germany a little sharper, a little faster. Oh, a little late there. I think it's a free kick. Carl Valeria was, excuse me.
So a wall of 4 for Australia. German fans perhaps sensing this is the moment. It's quite a moustache that gentleman's wearing. Schweinsteiger. Will it be Podolski? It was the latter. It wasn't too far away.
It had a nice look about it, this one, from Lucas Podolski, who at national team level is scoring every other game.
Mark Schwarzer untroubled. And the score sheet remains blank. Here is Podolski again. And from FC Köln, just down the road. Huge football area, this. At least this particular venue, Borussia Mönchengladbach, even though they're currently bottom of the German Bundesliga. Great history. 4 times German champions in the 70s, 2 UEFA Cup wins. Legendary names such as Netzer and Bonhoff. Miscommunication involving Mario Gomez. This stadium, by the way, brand new. It's a late challenge by Emerton. There's been a few, hasn't there, Andy?
Yeah, it's just that issue again, just a fraction late. It's not a matter of intent. In fact, the intent is there to try and pressurise the immediate opponent, but they're so sharp. They've got that extra half yard of speed when they need it. Australian players committed to the challenge, and referee with no choice thereafter but to blow the whistle and award a free kick.
Bender manages to work it out to Christian Trash. Muller really came to prominence during the World Cup last year. Joint top goal scorer, of course. Trash creating the angle, but it's too deep for Gomez. Brought down beautifully by Bender. Dummy by Muller. Schürrle. And the chance here is turned in by Mario Gomez. And Germany lead in the 26th minute. An exquisite finish from Mario Gomez. Mark Schwarzer could do nothing about it. Germany 1, Australia 0.
Well, in the shadow of Miroslav Klose, Mario Gomez doesn't get a lot of action in the national team. Different at club level, where he's banged away 19 goals for Bayern Munich. Plenty like this. Dead-eye Dick. Beautiful work, Mario Gomez. And Australia sloppy again in possession. Germany too fast, too hungry. Pounced and then lethally exposed Australia.
There's the reaction from the crowds. They enjoyed that one. Mario Gomez's 15th goal at international level, the Bundesliga top scorer with 18 for his club. And now a goal here in Mönchengladbach for his country. Does tend to score a lot of his goals in friendly matches, just 3 in competitive competition, but that was quite some finish. And German tails are up here. Muller's cross took a touch off Ognanovski. Well, we knew it would be a big test for Australia. It's just got that little bit bigger. Found a gap again here between the lines. Muller cutting inside. Ognanovski holds him up, but it'll break here for Schmelzer. Schweinsteiger. That's good ferreting for possession by Brett Holman. 1-2 with Kuehl. Ball still in play. Kuehl. Leaves it for Emerton. And it's too close to Visa. And away come Germany through Christian Trash. Plays it in behind Ognanovski. Gomez just couldn't keep his balance. Carney going long. Friedrich's header. Kuehl outwitted by Hummels. Mistake, though, by Schmelzer. Emerton. Game's really heating up.
Just look how quickly Germany regather themselves, however.
Wiltshire's ball in. Emerton with the header, but no real problems for Tim Wiese.
In the end, Australia did well to get an effort on goal. They're just so determined and so fast. The German players on an individual basis, but when they have to work together to nullify space, they do that particularly well also. But that was a good effort from Australia. Brett Holman as he's going to need to be from this point on, not just in this game, but in the next period for the Socceroos as they go through World Cup qualifiers, etc., showing the way forward.
Now the French referee has given a free kick right on the edge of the box. Again, Lucas Neal leading the complaints.
Not 100% convinced about this one, I must say.
Well, there's a bit of shirt tugging in there by Carl Valeri.
Marcel Smelter, nevertheless.
Must admit, my initial thought, Andy, I might be wrong, was if that was a foul, it might have been actually inside the area. But anyway, Stefan Lanoy was on the spot. Contact certainly finished inside the area. But it's a free kick nonetheless, which Andre Schürrle will take, and he drives straight into the wall. Schmelzer's left foot drive. Then a bit of a miscue by Bender, and the pressure is relieved for Australia. Half an hour played.
A rare error from Sven Bender. His stock and trade is completed passes at about 75%. And that register in the Bundesliga. That was a poor effort. Australia breathing a sigh of relief. It's been a quiet start from Harry Kewell as well. He hasn't managed to secure possession terribly frequently. It hasn't helped Australia in their attempts to play out. The most frequent danger from Australia has come from Brett Holman, who's looked very lively.
Beautiful passing by the Germans. Very slick. Jelinek climbing high and winning perfectly legal header. But at times, Andy, it's the fluency of the Germans which is so impressive to watch.
Well, by and large, the passes stick. The touch is good, and then the movement complements that. But they're very patient as well, and they'll work the ball around their defensive line, particularly the two centre fullbacks. And they'll link up with Bastian Schweinsteiger, principally, to a lesser extent, Sven Bender, and keep the ball in that back triangle until an opportunity is open to pass the ball forward, and that pass is often a deadly one.
Oberosik just taking the opportunities, the ball that ran towards him, to make a point or two to his team. By the way, if you want to make your points on tonight's game, just a reminder that Sasha Ognanovsky will be answering your questions via the Fox Sports website a little bit later on. So go to www.foxsports.com.au and send in your questions for Big Sasha. Neal appealing for offside. Not heeded. Podolski. Schmelzer back for Schweinsteiger. That's well anticipated by Matt Mackay. He's another who's perhaps struggled to get involved in the game in these early stages. Bit short of a gallop, of course, the last couple of weeks as well. Matt Mackay, the only A-League-based player in the squad now that Robbie Cruz has signed for Fortuna Düsseldorf, just down the road from here. And this is Harry Kewell getting involved. Well, that's perhaps his best involvement thus far.
It is, and the team needs more of it, because it releases the pressure on his teammates as well. And it was a very, very good jink to open up onto that beautiful left foot of his. The shot wasn't, in the end, what one might have expected, but nevertheless, a couple more contributions like that from Harry Kewell, and the central defenders Arne Friedrich and Mats Hummels will have to take a couple of second thoughts before they close him down. Just puts an element of doubt in their mind if he can get some consecutive positive attacks on them.
Friedrich being pursued by Brett Emerton. Jedinak. Holman will again chase after it. Always a willing runner, Brett Holman.
Willing and alert, Simon. That's been one of the real features of his play in the last few matches, particularly through the Asian Cup. Anticipation he showed to nick in on the blind side of players and steal possession and launch attacks for Australia. It was a very welcome thing. He's brought that into tonight's game as well. He's been Australia's standout in an attacking sense in this first half.
Long-term plan, of course, for Australia is Brazil 2014. So Gomez is caught offside. World Cup qualifying begins on September the 2nd this year. Draw for those qualifiers in Brazil in July. There's the goal scorer. And this is Schmelzer. Schweinsteiger. Rides the challenge of Valeri. Here's Thomas Muller. But Schürrle pretty quickly. Beautiful control. Schürrle again. Way to safety by Sash Rognanovsky. Lively customer, Andre Schürrle, who said he plays for Mainz. Well, not for much longer. Signed a pre-contract agreement to play for Bayer Leverkusen as of next season, which will perhaps enhance his standing even further. Hummels. Trying to find his club teammate Schmelzer, but Wilkshire was there. This is Mackay. Carney joining in. Holman to Jedinak. Bit of a loose one from Miller Jedinak. There's been a couple of those too. Sturdy challenge from Wilkshire. Tangle of bodies between Schmelzer and Emerton. But again, the advantage played. Schürrle. Little diagonal run made by Thomas Muller. Harry Kewell. Touched by Jedinak. Borussia Park not quite full this evening. 25,000 tickets sold. Capacity of 45,000 for internationals. Brett Emerton flagged offside. Interesting comments today, Andy, from Uli Hoeneß. Bayern Munich always has something to say. So this friendly was a complete and utter waste of time. So you get more intensity watching Bayern Munich A against Bayern Munich B.
Thanks for that, Uli. Of course, he's got one Bayern eye and one Munich eye.
That's right.
Never far from controversial comments.
Two footballs on the pitch at the moment, hence the delay. Schweinsteiger spreading the play. Trash. Dummy by Schürrle. Now a chance for Brett Holman to perhaps link up with Harry Kewell, which he does. Again, Germany are quickly back in numbers. Hummels with the challenge.
And again, that's a little snapshot of the game. Good break from Holman, nice pass to Kewell, but you called it, Simon. German players recovered incredibly quickly.
Michael Ballack in the stands. He's got a meeting apparently next month with Joachim Low about his international future. Whether there is to be one, I suppose, or not. Mackay. Wiltshire. Not many options for Australia, but they work it well. Holman. Good work by Brett Holman. Oh, and the 1-2 almost came off with Carl Valeri. He now has to sprint back because Germany are on the charge. Muller feeding Podolski. First time cross. Gomez in the deep.
Got frightening speed on the counter-attack, really and truly. Australia don't have a second to admire their own attacking play, and on that last raid it was none too shabby. Valeri and Holman linking up. Holman again making space beautifully. He's had a very good first half, but in the blink of an eye, the national Mannschaft was away, and they cover the ground so quickly. Their passing and interchange is so lithe. Here's the goal from Mario Gomez. Mark Schwarzer at full stretch for the first time this evening. Not good enough to stop that one from Mario Gomez. Few would have been. In truth, it was a brilliant effort.
High fives all round on the bench. Carney. Beautifully killed by Harry Kewell. Emerton. Early centre and behind for a corner off Mats Hummels.
They've had their moments, Australia, and that was another one. Really troubled in the end on that occasion, Mats Hummels. But they've worked some good positions, Australia, principally down their right-hand side or through the centre through Holman.
You won't be surprised to hear Sasha Ognanovsky and Lucas Neal are forward for this set piece. Jedinak too. All the way back for Carney. Well, he rather telegraphed that one, but a mistake by Schweinsteiger has given Australia another opportunity. The same wavelength, the captain and the goalkeeper.
Well, it's probably the second error made by Germany this half. Maybe one or two other half errors. We saw that pass from Sven Bender early in the first half, which went to no one. And that one from Schweinsteiger. Otherwise, it's been a pretty impressive first half from the home team, and that's been the difference between the two sides. Apart, I guess, from the individual speed of the players, has been the fact that they just don't make mistakes in possession.
So Wiltshire with a second chance. Comes out here for Matt Mackay, who will return it. And Neal was onside, and again Schweinsteiger concedes the corner. Nice little mark of respect between the two skippers too. So Wiltshire for a third time. Jedinak, good powerful header on that occasion. Straight down the throat of Tim Wiese. Well, he's well over 6 feet. Mila Jedinak, always a threat in the air. That was a decent half chance.
He went there with very good contact, Mila Jedinak, and he beat Sven Bender to the ball. Now, you look at the stats through the Bundesliga. Sven Bender is one of the best on the winning of aerial duels through the Bundesliga. He's got a very high success rate. That was good, clean contact. Harry Kewell missing the ball in flight. So with an easy get in the end.
So just over a minute to go before the interval, plus injury time, of course. Mackay catching Trash late, and that's going to be a card too. Australia's second of this friendly. And Trash has been the victim on both occasions.
I'd suggest the sound effects mic made that sound worse than it was. No question it was a foul. There's not a lot of force in that contact, notwithstanding the fact that it was illegal contact. And again, the Australian player, in this case, Matt Mackay, just that half yard slower than he needed to be to the contest. As the half approaches its end, Simon, that I reckon is how the first half really as a pattern has unfolded. Individual players for Germany quicker than the Australian players, better decision making.
Well, it's a clear foul by Matt Mackay. I don't think you can have too many complaints about the yellow card.
And on the occasions when Australia has built good possession, they've let the pressure off with a poor piece of technique by one or other player. It doesn't happen for the German national team, and it enables them to continue to build pressure on their opponents. And then you get the quality of a Mario Gomez at the end of one move to separate the teams going into half-time.
Well, that's certainly twice that Australia have, to coin a phrase, taken out the trash.
Not a lot of Christian charity in that.
So injury time at the end of the first period. Australia perhaps draw level. Here's David Carney. Oh, and he was offside. Must have been close. Close is enough on this occasion. Well, looks level to me. So there we go. The end of the first period. It has been a fascinating first half. Germany leads through Mario Gomez with a sizzling strike in the 26th minute. Australia have had their moments, and just the one real clear-cut chance. They're headed by Miller Jedinak. But at the interval in Mönchengladbach, the Socceroos trail the Germans by 1-0. Stefan Lanoy about to get us back underway. On a mild evening in Mönchengladbach. It is the Germans in the white jerseys, and with a goal advantage courtesy of Mario Gomez. They'll be kicking from right to left in this second half, in front of a crowd of around about 25,000-30,000. Ticket sales rather slow, and Australia, Andy Harper, were rather slow to get involved in this game, the first 10-15 minutes in particular.
Yeah, they were very slow the first 10. Second 10 was much better from Australia. They had some good moments throughout that first half, but it's difficult for them to keep up with Germany when they get...
Schürrle through for Podolski, might have shot first time, instead it's across the face of Cole and back to Podolski, who was really trying to crane the neck to turn the ball past Schwarzer.
Well, didn't he do wonderfully well to improvise in the final instance there, Lucas Podolski. And they're a tough team to contain. Germany, we've seen them really open themselves up in that first half. Australia chasing shadows when they do flick the switch. Holger Osik at half-time would have been happy with large chunks of that first half, I'd suggest, but he needs more individuals to have more of an impact. He needs more of his individual players to be winning more of the duel situations. Really, it's only been Brett Holman who's been having a constant impact.
Here come the Germans again. It's a very timely challenge by Sasha Ognanovski, and Australia get the throw in too.
And that's when Australia have the ball. Defensively, Australia not too bad. Ognanovski uncompromising as always, but effective. Lucas Neal has been sound again.
Michael Ballack watching on in the stands. This, of course, almost a second-string German side. Just speaks volumes, really, for the strength and depth that they do have these days. Well, in fact, they pretty much always had. Christian Trash playing at right fullback, not his normal position. The victim of a couple of pretty hefty challenges in the first half. Yellow cards issued to Matt Mackay and Miller Jedinak. Just on the Socceroos, Andy, all of this starting 11, of course, getting regular game time for their clubs. Is that perhaps a factor?
Well, it seems to be. 2 or 3 of the players who haven't been getting a lot of football, they're showing the signs of that. Alvarosic, of course, has been pretty voluble in the past about picking players on the basis of them actually playing at club level. Perhaps he feels in certain parts of the field he just doesn't have the options.
Hummels of Borussia Dortmund, just his 4th cap tonight. Very much a team for the future, this German 11. This is Neil, winning his 71st cap by contrast. Harry Kewell flagged. To Galatasaray players trying to combine. It's been a great time, are they, at the moment in Turkey with Gala. Jorge Hagi, their coach, sacked halfway down the table. Mistake there by Thomas Muller. Now can Australia profit? Allman to Kewell, but Kewell couldn't quite find Carl Valeri, who'd made the run from midfield.
It was a rare error from Thomas Muller. Australia couldn't force anything from that. Harry Kewell looked a little rushed in the end. Couldn't get the touch in the tail on that pass.
Well, Brent Holman was a mile offside. Harry Kewell might have been as well. All French officiating team this evening. Holman. Valeri combining with Jedinak. It was the right idea by Jedinak again. Kewell is offside.
That flag went up really early, which is not to say that Harry Kewell wasn't in an offside position, but normally the assistants just hold on that fraction to wait for an offside player to actually touch the ball or get close to the ball.
Australia, I was just about to say, starting to build a little bit of momentum, and unfortunately they've ruined all that with a foul throw. Which is a pretty basic error at this level. Not often you see those pinged, actually, is it? Now Wiltshire missed the attempted clearance, and Podolski went for the ambitious. Why not? German substitutes going through their limbering up exercises. That's Miroslav Klose, just 7 goals shy now of Gerd Muller's all-time record of 68 international goals. Joachim Low perhaps just wanting to pick the right moment to make a few changes. It's been a good tempo to this friendly. Perhaps that's why both coaches have held off on the substitutions. It does tend to break the rhythm of a game, particularly when they're made en masse. This has been a good hit out for both sides, given away by Jedinak. Times has just been too casual in that central midfield role and giving the ball away, Andy. Don't know whether you'd agree.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's because it's casual, but I think we're seeing the same thing otherwise. It's a breakdown in technique. Just a little slow to make up his mind.
Emerton's ball in was a good one. Harry Kewell onto it, keeps it in play.
There's more danger from Harry Kewell, which is a welcome sight. Now, Jedinak, as we expect with Millet winning his share of possession, he's another example, putting good pressure on in midfield. He does, that part of his game is going really well. There's a couple of times when in possession, errors have put his team under pressure. by and large, Germany just don't make those types of errors. Although I have to say, the start of the second half, 7 minutes in now, Australia have been able to force the issue much better than they did in the first half. Germany haven't settled in possession, under more pressure from Australia.
Everton scampering after that one, but couldn't get there.
So the next test for the Socceroos is if they can maintain this pressure up the field as we're seeing now, to then win possession and have the wherewithal to force some telling attacks on the Germany goal. The intent's clear from the Socceroos. They're hunting in packs and they're amassed in the German half.
Valeri combining with Emerson. Wiltshire with a little chip. Holman onto it quickly. Official attendance has just been confirmed here at Borussia Park. Just a fraction over 30,000.
I wonder if they'd get that to Bayern A versus Bayern B.
You'd have to ask Uli Hoeneß that. Just a reminder, Sasha Ognanovsky will be answering your questions on the Fox Sports websites following tonight's game. Get your questions in at www.foxsports.com.au. This is Schweinsteiger. Schmelzer. Handball is the verdict. Free kick for Germany. Schmelzer had to be quick and was. Podolski beautifully shielded the ball there. Lucas Podolski. Germany trying to go through the gears. Podolski again trying the switch and came off the shin of Matt Mackay, I think. Corner for the Germans.
And again, a good summation of the differential between the two teams, the two Lucases. Well, Lucas Podolski versus Luke Wiltshire. And Wiltshire, we know how good he's been for the Socceroos over the last 4 and a bit years. But Podolski just too sharp. He's a super player with a stunning left foot.
And it is Podolski who will deliver this set piece. Australia clear it up towards Kuehl on halfway. Wiltshire with a cushion header. There's a chance to release Matt Mackay on the left here. And they've done so, courtesy of a touch off Hummels, who regained his ground enough to make the tackle. Carney. Mackay. Being hassled and harried by Muller. This is where it's dangerous for Australia. Germany break so quickly and with real purpose. Podolski. Schmelzer. Solid challenge by Wiltshire. And again, Joachim Low is out to the edge of the technical zone. He is furious with that challenge. Wiltshire told to calm down. Well, he's normally pretty unflappable, isn't he, Yogi Low? But he's been incensed by a couple of these Australian tackles. How did you see it, Andy?
Yeah, I thought there was a little bit of salt and pepper on that one from Luke Wiltshire, actually. And it's not that he didn't get the ball, it's the attachments that went with that.
Now, Muller, the chance to run at the Australian defence. Gomez. And Ognanovsky sticks out of boots. Crucially so for Australia.
Yeah, he's kept his head well, Sasha Ognanovsky, this evening. Really well.
Telling me this week he loves this country, would love to play in the Bundesliga. Apparently he's got a bit of interest, Sasha Ognanovsky. Got some defending to do here, perhaps. And there he was to clear his lines. Only as far as trash. Germany pressing again here. Schweinsteiger leaping. It falls for Podolski. And Lucas Neal deflects it behind for another corner.
Well, you fancy that was heading towards the inside of the far post. David Carney was positioned on that far post. Lucas Neal throwing himself anyway, and Podolski again is looming as the man for Germany.
Podolski with the corner. Again whipped in with pace towards the near post. Away partially by Valeri. Jedinak is there as well, and eventually it's Hummels who volleys over.
Well, a right cheer went round the ground of that effort from Mats Hummels, but he's not shy of scoring goals. He's scored 11 in his 81 Bundesliga appearances. Goal-scoring centre-halves are very worthwhile. Here's that challenge from Luke Wiltshire, who was going for the ball, won the ball. There's no question, just it's the little bit of extras that Jogi Löw was protesting.
Wiltshire again involved. And a bit of stick from the German fans too. You won't mind about that.
Well, it was German scout, Simon, at the Switzerland International, Holger Osik's first game in the dugout. It's the German scouts who targeted Luke Wiltshire for perhaps some discussions. So good was his performance, and so impressed were he with his technique on that evening.
What a beautiful shot that is. I don't know there's a football game going on for that, B. He's even wearing German colours, nearly.
A Dortmund supporter.
I have to say it's not just the Germans on the park, Andy, that we've been impressed with this week. Off the field, their organisation has been exemplary.
That's true, Simon, and the hospitality's been fantastic. So welcoming are they of the Australian contingent.
They could teach a few countries to run a press conference too.
Well, they're world leaders in a number of areas, Simon.
Here's Wiltshire. Just ahead of Brett Holman. Schweinsteiger. Good pressing though by Australia. Emerton. Mackay. Carney's made a run down the left. Mackay hasn't seen him. Ognanovski will. Now Carney, it's broken for David Carney, and David Carney scores for Australia. 1-1 in Mönchengladbach. Well, what a moment for the Socceroos.
Well, it's been an altogether better second half from Australia, and the building block for the Socceroos has been the intensity of their pressure in midfield. On that last occasion, they won possession by crowding out Bastian Schweinsteiger. Matt Mackay received that possession and then found Sasha Ognanovski, who hit the ball out to Carney. And from that position, you're going to back David Carney's left foot 9 times out of 10. He hasn't had the happiest of games until now, but he's beaten Tim Weiser point blank, and the Socceroos are level here in Mönchengladbach.
And David Carney gets the honour of scoring the 1,000th goal against Germany in their international history, and didn't Holger Osik enjoy that moment against his home nation? Jogi Löw perhaps less so. 6th international goal for David Carney, and a super moment in front of one of the world's best teams.
Well, credit so far to Holger Osik, certainly the players who've been able to change the approach most markedly in this second half. And here they go again, Kuehl in possession. There's plenty of Socceroos in the penalty area.
Mackay can't get past first man, but it'll bounce for Kuehl here. Has he got the strength to get through? Down he goes. Is it a penalty? It is! A spot kick for the Socceroos. Harry Kuehl fouled inside the box. And this game has been turned on its head in the space of 60 seconds.
Well, he was really going nowhere here, Harry Kuehl. And it's pretty incidental contact, in my opinion. But the major talking point of this is how Harry Kuehl got rid of 3 German defenders. And then probably Christian Trash just stretching out with his right leg. Probably enough contact. Luke Wiltshire.
With the chance to put Australia 2-1 in front. And Wiltshire doesn't miss. Australia lead on German soil. What a turnaround. Well might they celebrate in green and gold. Germany, ranked number 3 in the world. It might not be their absolute first team, but there's no denying the smiles on the faces of the Socceroos. Right down the middle from Luke Wiltshire. And Australia are in front in Mönchengladbach.
Well, an incredible couple of minutes. And Australia have managed to swing the tide because of their change in mentality in the second half. Bastian Schweinsteiger makes way. Thomas Müller makes way. Mario Götze, the number 19, keep your eye out for him. Been really looking forward to watching him play. And Toni Kroos of Bayern Munich also steps into the fray. And an amazing couple of minutes. Let's see how the Socceroos handle the pressure of being front runners against one of world football's real powers.
Well, goodness me, Andy. There are shades of Eindhoven all over again. Back in 2008, Pim Verbeek that night defeated the nation of his birth on home soil. And Holger Osik is less than half an hour away from doing the same thing to the Germans. Could you see that coming, Andy?
No. But I certainly could see a better second half from the Socceroos, and that forced the issue. And I'm very happy to give that credit. They've worked themselves into the game and taken the lead, and it's been a brilliant effort. But they've got a long way to go.
Here's Podolski. Germany stung into action, perhaps. Breaks here for Christian Trash. Crowd in Mönchengladbach silenced. Trash again. If you are just tuning in Australia, know that scoreline is not a misprint. Germany 1, Australia 2.
And of course, they've got a real spring in their step now. The confidence that's come, firstly, from the improved performance, and secondly, because of the reward of the goals. And unsurprisingly, there are Socceroos coming from all corners, demanding possession, wanting to get involved in the game. And that key variable in the first half, which was so lacking, and that was individuals having an impact in their part of the field, that's changed, almost unrecognisably so. You could hear a pin drop here in the Borussia Park. It's incredible.
Apart from the band of Socceroos supporters on the far side of the stadium who are making plenty of noise, and why not?
Germany have only lost 4 of their last 30 internationals.
And they're unbeaten since the World Cup finals. So this would be, and there's still a long way to go, we stress, a real feather in the cap of Australia.
They've got a real sniffer, haven't they? Look at the eagerness with which Luke Wiltshire not just won one challenge, but backed up to win a second. Quick succession. Yogi Low, of course, 68 or 69% win ratio, is the winningest ever. If I can use that terminology, German national team coach of all time, and that's quite a mantle to hold when you consider the success of this country. Let's see how he gets his team out of this little pickle.
Midway point of the second half. Germany 1, Australia 2. 2 goals in the space of 60 seconds. Now, it's broken kindly here for the Germans. Götze inside the penalty box, but shepherded away from danger. And the clearance by Cardi. And the foul by Kuhl.
Arne Friedrich, he won that contact really expertly. He's one of the senior statesmen in this squad. It's a very young team, but Arne Friedrich not in that category. Hasn't played a lot this season. Talking about players not playing, he's only amassed 810 minutes of football the entire Bundesliga season because of injury.
Neil. Jedinak couldn't steer it into the path of Emerton, and here come Germany. Götze slides it through. It's a great ball. Schürrle is in there, and Schwarzer smothers.
What about the Wilford on the pass from Mario Götze? Schürrle, we know, on the evidence of the first half, can pick a gap and run into it. He's got tremendously long stride and good when he retrieves possession, but Schwarzer was out quick enough. And again, those moments when Australia are forced into error or indeed make unforced errors. Jedinak was culpable on that occasion, and Germany were away.
Flags up against Brett Holman. Again, it must have been tight.
I thought offside. I thought it was a good decision. Here's the penalty decision. Now it's the outstretched leg there which brings the contact, and fair penalty. I thought it was probably incidental contact, but on that replay I'm more convinced.
Luke Wiltshire is becoming quite the penalty expert, isn't he? Even though Tim Wiese did get a hand to it. Yes, says Holger. Gomez scored the opening goal as long ago as the 26th minutes. Germany, though, trailing, chasing the game. An unfamiliar position, particularly at home. Now Brett Emerton on the charge, on the counter. There's no real support for him. Kai has to be careful. Knocked out by Ognanovski.
Ognanovski's game awareness in this particular international match has been first class. Really first class. His positioning, his anticipation, his distribution hasn't been too shabby either. Just wonder if, once we take out the fact that this is a friendly match, how many Socceroos fans will be asking themselves, I wonder if in Durban we had Ognanovski playing in that squad. Of course, he was no favourite of Kim Verbeek.
But he's slotted in seamlessly, hasn't he, under Holger Osig. Under 20 minutes to go. German fans trying to rouse their shell-shocked side. Kroos. One of the changes made by Jogi Löw. Hummels. Götze. Trash. Australia keeping their shape. Brett Holman there helping out. Ognanovski got a bobble there just as he was about to clear. And there's an infringement committed by Brett Holman. And there's going to be another change for the Germans. Well, perhaps that tells us that Jogi Löw is a bit worried. He's going to take off Mario Gomez, who scored the opening goal, but Miroslav Klose. As we watch again Gomez's effort in the first half. will come on to try and pull something out of the fire. And he's not a bad replacement to have, Andy Harper. 61 goals and 107 internationals. And he's scored 9 of Germany's last 18 before tonight. He is a lethal predator. Free kick taken by Kroos. Headed clear by Neil.
He's also scored in each of his last 6 internationals, Simon. He's closing in on the great Gerd Muller's all-time national team record, although the goals per game ratio, well, that's not a fair fight. Gerd Muller is a freak of nature. But in absolute terms, Miroslav Klose is 7 shy of the great Gerd.
Penny for your thoughts, Joachim Low. A lot of people in Germany, Uli Hoeneß, of course, amongst them, felt that this was a game too many. Perhaps even more of them thinking that at the moment. Germany always expected to win, particularly at home. Credit to the fans in Mönchengladbach. Andy, the German sides won 4-0 against Kazakhstan and they were booed. And there's been no boos as yet, and they trail in this game.
Well, they've got evidently more respect for the Australian national team, and the evidence of this performance in Kazakhstan's in Kaiserslautern, you can understand that they were poor. And that's to put the most positive spin on it one can.
Neil. Matt Mackay just drifted in fields. There's a bit of an argument going on between Mackay and Neil. It's Dennis Iogo, the young left-back from Hamburg.
It's very interesting that Iogo would perhaps be considered at this point. Marcel Schmelzer, Dortmund left fullback, who's playing in that position here tonight. He's got huge raps on him. He's had a very good Bundesliga season. Hasn't really figured the opening exchanges. He got a couple of good runs down the left-hand side, but since then he's very much a peripheral figure.
Well, I think you can tell how much this means to Holger Osik, friendly or not, Andy. He's not made a single change as yet. Quarter of an hour to go, and he's contesting every decision.
Well, just on that count, Simon, I completely concur. I mean, I have been one of the people asking for more experimentation with more young players, but on this occasion, this sort of performance and this result as it stands at the moment, albeit with plenty of time still to go, is going to provide an enormous foundation for Holger Osik with this squad. It's been a fabulous second half performance. They've really forced Germany back. They've forced Germany into their shell. They've outnumbered the Germans in key parts of the field and won possession for themselves. There's still plenty of time for Germany to get back into the game, of course. So far, so good for the Socceroos, and very positive signs.
Free kick to be taken by Toni Kroos of Bayern Munich. Clearing header by Jedinek.
Again, the pressure that Schmelzer was under there, because Brett Holman haired across from the centre field position towards the German left fullback. Oliver Bierhoff next to Phil Wolanski, Australia's head of delegation. Oliver Bierhoff can tell people a thing or two about being booed by your own fans. He went through a really rough patch after being one of the few players in recent times to win a trophy, Simon, as you said, part of that Euro 96 team with Jürgen Klinsmann, Matthias Sammer.
Bierhoff scored the winner.
Some things are just never good enough for fan groups, are they?
Well, perhaps not in Germany. Now a little slip by Ognanovski, and Klose is away here. It's Miroslav Klose. And Schwarzer gets his angles right again.
Yes and yes, but what about the recovery from Ognenovski? We saw in the Asian Cup him make quite an incredible sliding tackle when he was beaten. He slips, he gives up ground on Miroslav Klose. He makes up that ground, certainly makes up enough ground to put Germany's second ever highest goal scorer under huge doubt. And that's not a common thing to say about Miroslav Klose. But that is a tremendous recovery run. It needed to be from Ognenovski as well. He certainly gave Schwarzer a hand there. And most of the gathered 30,000 here in the Borussia Park Stadium thought that was going to be 2-2. The whistles are starting.
Well, it's not quite panic stations just yet for the Germans, but certainly an unaccustomed position. They've given the ball away again briefly, but Emerton unable to link up with Holman.
And that's a really cheap unforced error, because Jedinak and Valeri had done brilliantly again to force that pressure centre field. And it fell to Emerton, and he needed to do better. His quality, his experience needed to show.
Podolski. Schmelzer wanted it played into his path. Podolski chips it into the box instead, and Jedinak is there again. That with Schmelzer.
That part of Milo Jedinak's game has been superb.
Terrific. Hummels. Well read by Wiltshire.
Well, this has been a masterclass defensively from Australia. They're compact. They're in unison. The first half was looking a little thin, threadbare. But the second half has shown all the hallmarks of the good performances in the Asian Cup, certainly defensively.
Now here's the first change to be made by Holger Osik. And it's the young man who's going to be playing in Germany pretty soon, Robbie Cruz, to replace Harry Kuehl, who of course won the penalty for Luke Wilkshire's second goal. Certainly grew into the match, Harry Kuehl, but now Robbie Cruz gets his chance just down the road from where he'll be playing for Fortuna Dusseldorf. Currently in the German second division. There's his first touch, Cruz. Emerton. Picked up here by Wiltshire. Referee getting in the way, and that's unfortunate for Australia because it's led to a counter-attack for the Germans. Miscontrol though by Klose, and he's immediately closed down by Ognenovski. Into the last 10 minutes in Mönchengladbach. Given away by Germany. Emerton looking for the early release. Cruz. Buy a bit of time here perhaps for Australia. Support offered by Jedinak. And on the overlap is Wiltshire. Good football by the Socceroos. Wiltshire turns it in. Way only as far as Jedinak.
That's good play. That's really composed play. Australia, and you hesitate to say it, but for large parts of this second half, and certainly in this phase, that they're in control of the game.
Well, for Socceroos fans watching at home in the early hours of the morning, I'm sure they're enjoying watching this. Perhaps less so in the first half, but it has been a very spirited response by Australia. No little quality shown as well.
Yeah, that's important to say that, Simon. It's been very well organised second half. Of course, the spirit has been there, but they've been really well organised, and now they control the football match. Indeed, they control their own destiny in this game. 8.5 plus stoppage time.
Here's Carney as Australia perhaps go in search of a killer third goal. In towards Mackay, and spilled by Visa and put behind by Schmelzer. And Australia pushing to put this game to bed.
Well, Matt Mackay hasn't had a lot to do. He's worked hard. He hasn't had a lot of touches on the football, a lot of meaningful touches particularly, but there was no accident in that play, that link between Carney. He knew where Mackay was. Mackay knew where he was relative to the goal and backed himself, and he's won the corner.
Wiltshire turns it in. Jedinak won another towering header, but it's over the top.
He's been mighty, Mila Jedinak, in those aerial exchanges at both ends of the field. When he looks back on this game, you'll know that if he can improve his play on the ground by just 5%, I'd suggest, he goes to a whole new level as an international footballer.
Another good header won by Jedinak. Germany 1, Australia 2. Live on Fox Sports, Australia sports leader. As Kroos turns it in, and look, Germany turn it behind. Arne Friedrich, who's taken over the captain's armband.
They look the more likely of the two, the Socceroos, coming home very strongly. Robbie Kroos with a nice pass to try and find Matt Mackay there.
Some glum faces in the stands. Australia well on top. Mackay's corner.
Plenty of people in Dusseldorf, Simon, have been asking us about Robbie Kroos as well. He come to Mönchengladbach and they want to know about Matthew Leckie. The signing of Robbie Kroos for Fortuna Dusseldorf certainly got them talking and asking and wondering and excited about the prospect.
Well, the errors started to creep into the German game, even more so, and more whistles emanating from the stands. Well, it's music to the ears, I'm sure, of Holger Osik, not so Joachim Low. Well, for all money in the first half. Didn't look as though we'd be talking about this particular scoreline. It could be turning into a famous night for Australia.
And here's what I think is a really quirky thing. Australia have done it in the second half, really without Brett Holman, who's still on the field, but he hasn't had nearly the same impact. He was really the lone ranger for Australia in the first half. You can only imagine, I guess, he can fit into this pattern as well.
Can they keep their shape? Can they keep their lead, Australia? They were rocking slightly there, but the boot stuck out here and a toe there, and they survive. Valeri has given it away, though, to Trash.
That's the part of the game that's got to be fixed. It's not going to happen overnight. Probably the players starting to get a little weary. We're right at the final moments of this international match.
Hummels, good strong run by the central defender, but again, Jedinak is there. Neil trying to release Holman. Kroos might get there on the scraps. Instead, it's Kroos instead of Kroos. And Germany can build through Christian Trash. Friedrich. Carney. Again, Australia. Disciplined. Good shape. Kroos trying to thread it through. Holman, they could be on for a third here. Oh, and Schmelzer just across in time, but the referee will bring them back. Another free kick for Australia.
Dusseldorf just got a whole lot more excited at watching that little piece of play from Robbie Kroos. Brett Holman just couldn't bring the pass in, but this is a lovely slide of foot from the Australian substitute.
Less than 4 minutes to go. Australia, far from defending their lead, are going in search of a third. Wiltshire to deliver. Too easy for the goalkeeper. Germany resorting to route one from the goalkeeper. Here's Götze. Closer. Had that one chance since coming off the bench. Nails across. It's beautifully intercepted. Leading by example, the captain.
Well, there will be the temptation from, I guess, the local fans and some local media.
Now Kroos has been fouled. Maybe a yellow card here for Christian Trash.
Brilliant acceleration from Robbie Cruz there. Just to finish that point, there will be the temptation locally in some quarter, Simon, to explain this result away as a meaningless friendly and players focusing on other responsibilities with club and their national team qualification for the Euro Championships later. But most people who are watching will be very, very impressed with the way the Socceroos have turned this second half around.
Carney chips it up. Everton climbs highest on the volley by Mackay, but the flag had already been raised for a foul by Everton. Oh, goodness me, just for a second. Matt Mackay thought he was going to have his name up in lights again. So no doubt that Everton was leaning on his opponents. Now flick headed by Podolski. Closer. Germany still posing a threat. Miroslav Klose trying to wriggle his way through. Down he goes, and the referee points to the spot. No, does he? No, it's a free kick for Australia. Goodness me. And a yellow card for diving. Well, there's a talking point.
And they're always tough ones to call. The refs are on the spot. They got instantaneous decisions to make. There's a little bit of contact there. It's a clear act of simulation. Congratulations to the referee who picked it. I'm more impressed with the harassing work that Sash Ognenovski did to force Klose into that cul-de-sac. He's had a super game, Sash Ognenovski. Lucas Neal's had a terrific game as well. And there's slight contact there. The referee's decided that he's made more of that than there really was, and given the yellow card, I can't argue with that decision, I have to say.
So Klose and Germany denied. Australia going to make another late change. Brett Holman, who's worked his socks off tonight, is replaced by the young striker from Brøndby, Brent McGrath, who is on for his debut at the age of just 19.
He's a big lump of a lad too, McGrath. I concur. Holman's had a super game. His first half was excellent. Second half worked hard. Wasn't overly involved in a lot of the attack that Australia had. On balance, an excellent performance.
What a place to make your international debut for Brent McGrath, and potentially what an occasion. Well, there you go, you heard it on the tannoy. Additional time, 3 minutes. That's all that separates Australia from a famous win in Mönchengladbach. Germany desperate to salvage a draw at least. Schmelzer's ball in, and it's behind for a corner off the head of Carl Valeri.
When you look at the urgency with which the German players are taking up their position, is an indication of how hurt they are at the moment.
Kroos' corner. Schwarzer will feel those all night.
This result, if it stands, will have enormous reverberations around Europe's largest country, friendly or not.
No question. They've only lost 4 times in the last 30 internationals, Germany. Defeats at home are as rare as hen's teeth. And Australia, remember, have lost all 3 previous meetings. But it's the Australian fans you can hear in the background. Goal kick. 1 minute of the additional 3 played. And if it does end up this way, Andy, well, the Socceroos have deserved it.
Yeah, no question. It's been an excellent second half. They've controlled the football match in the second half.
It's not quite over yet, though. Germany trying to create something, but it's too high for Klose.
Now, the first half, there was a clear difference between the teams. And Australia managed to hang on, and for all their good moments, Germany never really forced Mark Schwarzer into any sequence of saves. At the second half, under Holger Osik, goodness knows what he said at half-time in that dressing room, but there was intent, there was tremendous coordination. They're compact, they're working in unison. Their anticipation of the play in the second half has been, I think, the key turnaround. And then with Ognenovski at the back with Neil Miller-Jedinek, the amount of possession he's won at both ends of the field, fantastic. Harry Kewell more lively in the second half. It's been an excellent performance from Australia.
And there's less than 40 seconds left. Holger Osik will be celebrating just as hard, no doubt, as those Australian supporters. Won a World Cup along with Franz Beckenbauer, of course, back in 1990 with Die Mannschaft. And tonight he's very much made his mark with this Australian side. Cruz trying to run down the clock. Germany need the ball at the other end, and pretty quickly, but they'll get a free kick. This must be the final opportunity.
Well, by my reckoning, Simon, this is Australia's third away match in Europe under Osik, and they've won 2 and drawn 1. Switzerland.
It's all over. It is a famous win that will take its place alongside the victories over Brazil, France, England and the Netherlands in recent years. Revenge is a dish best served cold, and on a chilly night in Mönchengladbach, Australia have banished their World Cup nightmare to history. What a night for the Socceroos. They've defeated the Germans by 2 goals to 1. Incredible.